Audible? Piyush?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yeah, okay. So in yesterday's session, we learn about the data warehouse. What are the characteristics of the data warehouse? What is the purpose of it and how it is useful while in BI? Okay. So today we are going to learn about what is meant by the big data. So can anyone tell me what is meant by big data? You can unmute or write down in chat box. Be interactive. I don't
Social
want
media
one
network.
side. Yeah, social media network. This is the example. But what is mean by big data?
Terabytes of data, which is in the form of audio, video, text.
Okay. So as the name suggests, big means it's having the huge amount of data. So basically the big data is used for generating and managing the large volume of data. And when we said we have to generate or manage the large volume of data that are difficult for managing using the traditional relational database management system like our RDMS or the database management system, it having some limitation while how much data it stored. Okay. In that such kind of scenario, we have to moving towards the big data. So big data, it is a data set that are too large for traditional data processing system, and therefore there are some new technologies like Hadoop, HBase, MongoDB, CouchDB. Such kind of database are used, and such database are called as a big data. So how can store such kind of big data or how to extract the data while storing to the big data? Like a vast amount of industry, company, product, and customer data can be gathered from variety of external or internal sources. As someone says, social media platforms, web blogs, social networking sites, then the log of website hits, and the daily transactions. Okay, so such kind of data is stored in the big data. Now, why we use the big data? What are the main characteristics of big data? Instead of using the RDBMS and DBMS, why we are moving towards the big data? So there are some 9 key attribute of the big data, and due to that attribute or due to that characteristics, it is essential to use the big data. So in that, the first one is the data volume. So when we are say the volume means the unit of data. So data volume measures the unit of data storage on the various media. Then second one is the data variety. So as we know that the data is stored or extracted from the different media sites, like from the digital data, it include the data in variety of form, like in form of photos, emails, textual data, audio video data. Okay, so this is a variety of data. Then the next attribute is the data velocity. So velocity means what? It means both how fast data is being produced and how fast data must be processed to meet the demand. Okay, this is nothing but the velocity. Then the next attribute is the data variability. It means our data is highly inconsistent and it changes due to periodic peak. Okay, so this is the data variability. Then the next attribute is the data complexity. So as we know that the data is extracted from the different sites, so it must be complex. So data is from multiple sources and it is difficult and challenging to link, match and transform data across the system because it is collected from the different sources. Next is the data context. So data context means what? Data is only of value where we consider it within a particular business context or the scenario. Okay. So if we know the meaning of the data and the context of data, then only it is a meaningful. So then we can consider it as a information. Then the next attribute is the data veracity. So veracity means data must be accurate and the reliable. Next one is the data visualization. So as we learn the visualization, it provides the meaningful way to visualize the large volume of complex data in way that are accessible to the managers. So if data is visualized properly, then it is easy for everyone to access that data and find out the insight behind the data. And the last attribute is the data value. So value means what? This is the main reason why we are working for the big data. As the organizational perspective, it gives us the different kind of big data strategies and the technologies which are significant investment. Then why organizations are investing in the big data? Because we can directly access this data from the big data and retrieve in our BI tools, and it gives us the benefit of to improve the productivity, cost saving, and it is better for the use. So all these are the 9 important key attribute of the big data. That's why we have to use it. After that, what are the applications of the big data? So basically in financial services, the big data is used. Then for the fraud detection, risk and regularity data management and compliances. Then in defense, in cyber security, all these areas where we use the big data. So this is all about the big data. Then as we are already talking about the 4 V's of the big data, which is involved in the attribute like the variety, veracity, velocity and the volume. Okay. After that, the next point is the business intelligence life cycle. So the business intelligence life cycle having the 7 phases. In that, the first one is the analyze business requirement. Okay. So before starting any kind of a business or any kind of a startup, you should know the problem statement. And for that problem statement, you have to review your business idea and you should know what is your requirement to fulfill that motto of your business or the startup idea. So first we have to analyze the problem statement and we have to analyze the business requirement. Then our next step is design data model. Okay. So as I think you learn in database management system the DFD diagram. Okay. Whatever problem statement is given to you, you have to first design the DFD level 0. That is your pictorial representation of the problem statement, right? So you have to design the data model. So the design of the data model is basically based on the business requirement. You have to design the logical data model which shows the information that user want to analyze and the relationship that exists within the data. So we can say it is a pictorial representation of the problem statement. Then the next step is you have to design the physical schema. So what is a physical schema? It defines the content and the structure of your data warehouse. Means it defines your data. whatever data, like I think in SMD you are going to learn about the class diagram. So in class diagram you have to define the every function which is used in your definition. Okay, so that is based on the content of your problem statement, or we can say that the whatever information is used to design the class diagram. Then the next one is, after the design part you have to build the data warehouse. So to build the data, you have to build the data warehouse according to the schema design and load data into the warehouse from source system. Okay, so as we know that basically we use the data warehouse for storing the data, right? Just give me 1 minute. Okay, so we are storing the relevant data in our data warehouse. After that, the next point is we have to create the BI project structure, that is a metadata. Okay. Now the metadata means what? Data about the data. As we know that the large volume of data is stored in our data warehouse, which having the data which is relevant to our requirement, and some data might be irrelevant. Okay. As we extracted the data from the different sources, so it create the huge amount of data set, and with the help of metadata we have to create one data structure, whether we are going to extract only the relevant data which is easy to access while creating the dashboard. So create the metadata and begin to connect and map the metadata to table in data warehouse. Like for example in Tableau, if our Excel data sheet is ready, then we can directly extract it or load it into Tableau database. Okay, and as I already told you, whenever we are performing the extract operation, our data should be inside our system. There are two options, live database and the extract. So whenever we are selecting the live, we are extracting the data directly from the server, and whenever we are perform the extract operation, at that time our data must be reside in our system, which is easy to accessible. After that, the next one is we have to develop the BI object, which is our sixth step, right? So develop the BI object means what? We have to develop the object like attribute, fact, metric, report, and the dashboard. So actual designing part is done in our sixth step, that is develop the BI object. Means we have to design the dashboard as per the user's requirement. And the last step is administer and maintain. So what is the administer and maintain? Maintain the project. In this field, administration and maintain the project as it undergoes continued development and changes. We have to monitor the performance of our system. We have to make some adjustment into it to improve the performance of the system. Also we have to manage the security, and we have to perform other ongoing administrative tasks in our last phase. So this is the business intelligence life cycle. Okay, so just note down the steps of the business intelligence life cycle. So these steps includes the component of the BI system. So there are three main component of the BI system. First one is the data warehouse, which is our source data, which work as a database for our system, for our BI system. After that, the business analytics. So business analytics means what? Whatever the operation related to the analyzing of the data is performed in this phase. Okay, so we have to find out the new insight from the data which is extracted from the data warehouse. We have to analyze the historical and technological data. Also we have to design the different kind of the models in this system, that is a business analytics. And the third component is the business performance management, which is our seventh step in the business intelligence life cycle. So what we have done in the business performance management, it is act of setting corporate goals, monitoring the methods used to achieve those goals, and then creating the ways for managers to more effectively achieve these goals. Okay, so how we can achieve this goal? So by collecting and analyzing the data, we have to determine how our system get changed, how we have to take the better decision regarding our system, and how we are effectively finding out the insights behind the data, and how we are going to represent it using the dashboard. So these three are the component of the BI system. I am going to repeat the component once: data warehouse, business analytics, and business performance management. So this is the scenario of the business intelligence. So whatever we learned before, we have to apply all these technologies, database, designing method, designing tools in this scenario. Okay, this is the actual working of any business intelligence system. So first, as we know that we have to gather our requirement. So first phase is data gathering and management. So with the help of all these data sets, we can gather the data and manage that data. In that, we can use operational data, data warehouse, data modeling, data governance, data integration, ETL method, information manage, data quality, metadata, master data, and the data visualization. Okay, so all the data related to all these operations are stored in our data warehouse, or for some time we use the big data as well. Okay, so this is nothing but our database. So first we have to define our problem statement. We have to gather the data relevant to that problem statement, and we have to store this data into our data set. After storing the data, we have to analyze that data, whether that data is meaningful or useful while solving our problem statement or not. And using the different analytical tools, we have to perform the analytical processing. So for the analytical processing, as we know that whenever we use the database management system, we use the query processing. Okay, like whenever you have to retrieve any data, then you can directly fetch the data. Suppose you want all the rows from the data. At that time, we use the query like select star from the table name, and it gives us the entire data, entire rows from the table. Okay, so this is nothing but the analysis process. You can perform the updation operation, deletion operation, edit operation. Okay, so all such kind of operations are come under the analytical processing field. After that, we use the OLAP system, we use the business analytics, we use the statistics, data mining, and the visual analytics. So all kind of processes are do come under the analytical processing. After the analysis, the data is ready for the visualization. Okay, so after the analysis, we are able to create our dashboard. So that is called as a presentation mode. So presentation mode involve how we can present the data previously as I am using the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so we can represent our data in PPT format. Then Excel provide us a lot of charts through which we can represent our data like this. Using the BI tool also we are going to represent our data. So this presentation may involve different kind of reports, information visualization, dashboard, scorecards, and the strategy map. Okay. After completing the presentation, we have to present our data to others. So how we can present that data? For that, we use the management and the delivery system. So how to deliver our data? As we know that we use the different kind of website to display our data like our information. For now we use the Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook. So all these social medias are useful to present our data. Okay, so using the website we can present our dashboard. So for that these options are available like website, reporting server, application server, BI server, portal, and Excel services. So, for Tableau, we can publish our data, but for that, we have to purchase it. This is not freely available for us. So, all these media are used to manage the data and to deliver the data. After that, what are the applications of this? So, as we know earlier, CRM system is the application of the BI. After that, we can also say the ERP is also one of the application. Website analytics, strategic management, market research, benchmarking, performance management, all are the applications of the BI system. Okay. So, this is the scenario of the business intelligence system. Understood? Yes or no? Please write down in chat box. Okay, so that's it for the theory point of view. Today we are going to learn two most important charts which is used in the Tableau and which look like similar but they having the different applications. Okay, so quite confusing one but the interesting one. So just open your Tableau. Okay, while registering with the Tableau setup, you have to search this name. Our college name is like this. This name is available over there, and while doing the rest of the Tableau, note down this. Not share your screen. Forget to share it. Sorry. Entire screen. Yeah. I'm going to share it.
And where we have to write this name?
While registering on the Tableau website, like this, I think. W public for student, then click here, then free student license. Okay, so first write down here India, then write down your, suppose I am going to write down my name. Okay, so university slash college name you have to select NDMVP. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, so it shows our college name as a NDMVP Samajas Nasik Engineering College. Select it, then select. You can select learning as a part of course or learning as a own, no issues. Then you have to verify student status. Okay, and after that you have to upload here your college iCard. Drag and drop your file here. Make sure your name should be matched with your college ID. Okay, and after that just submit it, and that primary key is primary key in W setup. So today we are going to learn about the heat map and tree map. So first I am going to show you the representation of, this is my heat map. Okay, so to create the heat map, it is already mentioned at the bottom. We require one or more dimension and one or two measures. So for now, one dimension and one measure is sufficient to draw a heat map. Okay. So what is a heat map? It is used to analyze the areas in plot where data points are dense or scattered. It is specially used where there is a huge data set with overlapping data values. This helps analysts to see the areas with greater density and discover data trends. So basically, use the heat map for the comparison purpose. Okay, whenever we have to compare the data, at that time we have to use the heat map. So how to compare the data? So firstly, what are the requirement of heat map? We require the one dimension, one or more dimension, and one or more measure. So suppose I am going to select the segment in column. Okay. So this is my dimension. Okay, segment is my dimension, and I need one more measure. So suppose I am going to select the profit. Profit is my measure. Okay. So it will give me the chart like this. And suppose I am going to click here. This is my heat map. So what it means, it gives me the heat map with respect to the amount of data provided in the dataset. So as we know that consumer having the highest profit, so the shape of this rectangle is bigger than the remaining two one. Okay, because the profit is 134,119. Here it is 91,979 and it is less than upper two one, that is 60,299. So it is easy for the comparison. Okay, so this is the heat map. So instead of one measure or one dimension, we can select the more than one dimension. So suppose this is my segment, and after that I am going to pick the subcategory. Just try to understand the representation of the map. After that I am going to explain you once how to select the dimension and the measure. Then I want the subcategory in the row. Okay. Now what happened? I'm selecting the segment and the subcategory. As we know that there are more than one subcategory available over here. And just as it gives us the comparison with respect to color, so instead of the size, I am going to pick the sum of profit into the colors. Okay. Now it will change the color combination of the map. Darker color means it having the highest profit and lighter color means it having the low. Okay. Now this is very light. Okay. That is 17. Then this is more lighter than this one. So in this way, now this is in negative. So it having the different color. So with respect to size and color, we can create our heap chart. Heat chart, sorry. Okay, so suppose I want to check the more profitable subcategory, then I just want to focus on the darkest one. So as this is the darkest one having the 24,000, again this one having the 20, okay, then this one having the 23. So as we can easily notice that this is the most darkest one, after that this one, after that this one, and like this. Okay, so now we used only the one measure over here, that is sum of profit. If I am going to pick the sum of sales over here, suppose I am going to pick the sales into the size. Okay, now what happened? The most, the profit is displayed by the color and the sum of sale is displayed by the size. Okay, so suppose I am going to choose this one, phones. Phones having the highest sales, we can say, and this is the darkest also, means it having the highest profit as well. Suppose this one, this is less darker than the previous one. What it means? It having the less profit but having the large amount of sales. Okay. So for now, with the help of this scenario, we can say that the size is for the sales purpose and color is for the profit one. Okay, so in this way, with the help of heat map, we can analyze our data. So what I am using over here, I am using two dimension and two measures. What are my dimensions? Which is not the quantitative data. These are the field name like segment and subcategory. And sum of profit and sum of sales are my measures where I can perform the mathematical operations. Understood? Any doubt up to this point? Please write down in chat box. What happened? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, understood.
Okay. So I am going to repeat it once. So what we have to do, we have to create the heat map which gives us the information with respect to subcategory and whether we have to check the highest profit and the highest sales. So as we know that heat map is used for subcategory. After that, I'm going to check two values, that is profit. So I'm going to pick it in colors, and suppose the sale, so I'm going to pick it into the size. Okay. So as I put here only one dimension, so it gives me the one dimensional chart only. Okay. So this is by default my heat map. Whether I can easily notice that the size of the rectangle. So the size of the rectangle, I think this one is the bigger. So size is for the sum of sales. So this is 328,449, and after that this one, that is 330. Okay, but as compared to both these, this having the highest profit, that is 44,506. So it having the darkest color. After that, this one is also having the darkest one, which having the highest profit 55,000. This one is also the darkest one. So like this, we can compare our dimensions with the help of the heat chart. Okay. So suppose I am going to pick the category over here. Okay. So it will look like this. So as I pick the category here, and after that for row I need the subcategory. So this is the categories, main category, that is furniture, office supplies and technology, and for row I am going to represent the subcategory. Okay. So we can easily identify here the larger size, that is this one, chairs. So chairs having the highest sales, and the most darkest one, I think this one, that is the profit. So the technology, in that the copiers having the highest profit. So like this we can create the chart for the given data set. Okay. Try to draw heat map on your setup. You can select any field. This is not compulsory that you have to using the same dimension whatever I have used. You can pick any kind of dimension and try